of Solomon chapter 2 verse 15 says, "Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, for our vineyards are in bloom." Looking at that in the context of a relationship, it's simply the little foxes, the little things, the minor issues, the distractions that ruin a thriving relationship. A relationship that is blooming, it's doing great. What could those be? Catch for us the little foxes. We must get them out. Don't leave them to carry on moving around the vineyard. No, we must catch them and take them out. They shouldn't be there. What are those bad habits? Is it anger? What could that be? Let's look into our relationships and make that assessment today. When Pio asked me to give a charge, I thought I must share about something that's been so burning on my heart lately. And thinking about this, what are those foxes? I will share just a few points to keep this very brief. One would be accumulated neglect. Yes, sometimes we are in a relationship and we start taking it for granted that we're together. Hey, you'll always be there. He'll always be there. She'll always be there. She has to be there, you see. And then we begin to take for granted the contribution this person makes. But then we ought to be building a habit of connection, that from time to time we check in on the other to be sure the other is okay. Is the other enjoying the experience of the relationship? At the end of the day, it's not how long we've been together, but the quality of the experiences we have. How does your spouse feel about the relationship? You need to check. You need to do a temperature check with your spouse. How are you? What's up with you? Are you having a good time in this marriage? Don't assume you know. Be sure. And you can only be sure when you ask. You see. We all should go for health check, isn't it? Otherwise, it's not ideal to wait until something terrible happens to go check. You see. We should be checking. One who has a car should have that car checked and not wait until the car breaks down. And the same for our relationships. We should be checking and not wait until something happens and we think, oh, I didn't see that coming. Little foxes. Little foxes. What could that be? Make that assessment today. Don't leave it till later. The second point I would like to point out today is the failure to address insignificant tension. I've carefully thrown in the word insignificant. Very little thing. Looks very ordinary. But I've come to know that with issues around relationships, it matters when they are tackled. First of all, it matters when they are raised. So they are tackled. Time is of the essence, oftentimes. The longer we leave it, the bigger it grows. And that's the last thing you want. That insignificant thing can later be so significant. It's like just having to sweep issues under the carpet. We keep sweeping it and we'll forget that at some point the carpet will bulge to the point that it'll be difficult to shut the door out to vices, to things, to external influences. You see, so we must tackle those issues, but it matters when we do. So we must address them. The third point I would like to share today is disregard. I'd like you to think about it. Now, when I'm talking about relationship, for all of these points, yes, for the married folks, think about your spouse. But then we have other relationships. How am I faring as a sibling? How am I faring as a child? How am I faring as a work colleague? You see, how am I faring in the community? What do people think of me in my interactions with them? Would there be the presence of accumulated neglect that I no longer pay attention, probably because I'm so consumed with a target, with a commitment? Very valid, but we must pay attention to these things. So the third point I was saying is disregard. Disregard for one's ideas, disregard for one's contributions, disregard for one's interests. You see, the truth is, if you have respect for someone, it would show. it would come across. One would be able to sense the state of your heart towards them. And how much more for someone who is in close contact with you. They would be able to tell. Even when you say, oh no, there's no problem, they can tell. Yeah, so how much regard do you have? But in saying this, I could link it to the second point, because when these issues are not being dealt with, they certainly would affect the state of your heart, which could affect how you relate towards people, how you relate with their belongings. You know, there are times you would hear some spouses say, she has no respect for my things. She throws my things around. Yes, I've not put them in the right place, but she doesn't accord my things the regard that she should. You see, it's just the state of your heart. But sometimes it's because there are lingering issues that have not been dealt with. So it's very critical that we make these adjustments very fast. Now, the third point would be unresolved traumatic experiences. Yes, sometimes we forget that these things come with us into our relationships. They show up in different ways. They could show up as the fear of vulnerability. You're in a relationship and your spouse is wondering, why are you so closed up? Why are you not opening up? Vulnerability is me knowing that you could potentially use this information, whatever I'm sharing, against me, but I choose to share anyway. Especially for romantic relationships, as that of a husband and wife. You've got to be vulnerable. My husband put out a post one time and he said, to love is to risk. It's to risk putting yourself out there and hoping that you'll be loved back in the same way, you see. But then if we bring all of the pain of our childhood and we don't deal with this pain, we'll be amazed how much impact, how much pain will be causing the people around us, our loved ones, you see. So there could be emotional shutdown where you just shut down to your loved ones. But you don't realize you're not sharing, or you feel you're justified for not sharing. Hey, it's because of this pain. But what's the point in being in a relationship if you're not going to open up? If you're not going to be yourself? If people are not going to be able to access layers to you, you see. So the emotional shutdown. In shutting down, you're not doing any good to that relationship. Then there's also the critical part where there's intimacy struggles. Yeah. So there's a struggle to be truly, truly intimate. And sex therapists will tell you that sometimes that even affects the sexual life of the people in the relationship. Then I wouldn't feel to mention trust issues. There could be trust issues when there is no openness. Now, someone said maintenance is always cheaper than repair. It's always cheaper to maintain a thing than to repair it. Why do we wait until the relationship has broken down to fix it? In another way, I would like to always say, divorce is expensive, but intimacy is priceless. Now, with intimacy, we're able to keep divorce at bay. And when I say this, some people may be very fast to say, hey, divorce is not an option in this marriage. Yes, divorce is not an option, but are you truly intimate? What's the state of intimacy? What's the state of connection between the both of you? If done right, it's truly priceless. Apart from the fact that it keeps intimacy at bay, it has far-reaching impact. It has a lot of reward to your health, reward to the connection between you, the state of things in the marriage, reward to your parenting because you're better parents, you see, and that still ties to unresolved trauma. Because if I look after myself, if I deal with all of those traumas from the past, I'll be a better parent. There'll be less triggers from my children. There'll be less triggers. I mean, I won't be just react flippantly and people around me will be wondering why this level of reaction for something so insignificant. But it's not insignificant to you, you see, because you've walked it, you've experienced that. And so, hey, today is just, this is us just charging you to pay more attention to your relationship. What's that one thing you need to do today I'd like you to make the assessment. What tweak can I make to ensure that things improve, to ensure that things are better? There's always more we can do. We can always have a better relationship. They would say the enemy of great is good. Don't settle for good. Let's aspire for great, because great is where we should be. All right. God bless you.